So let's get started, all right? Usually how I do it is I start throwing them up, given my opinion, but at the end, once we see where some of the weapons lie, we will probably mix and mingle some of them as a final edit here. The X's mean dualies. So if you see a red X, that means it's the dually version where you have two, not just one of that pistol. All right, so we're starting with a bunch of dualies because that's what's at the top, and then we'll just kind of go down, all right? We got Bornheim Extends. They're pretty good. Dualies in general are pretty good, but Bornheim Extended gets quite a bit of ammo, and it has a nice fire rate. The bloom is kind of bad, so you don't want to use it like outside of most dually ranges. I would say like 10 to 15 meters is probably max. You can use it outside of that, but you're just kind of hoping to get a kill at that point. So overall, pretty good. When compared to other dualies, it's definitely mid, and when compared to most weapons, it's definitely mid, so we're going to start off there. Dually Silence, pretty similar. I wouldn't say it's as good as these ones, specifically because it gets more shots, which gives you more opportunity to hit people before you have to reload, and the reload for these weapons is not the fastest. So overall, I'm going to put it there. I'll probably put the silencer above just because the first initial shots, if they don't know where they're coming from, can be kind of hard to hear exactly what's going on with the silent version. I also think the bloom on both of these is pretty similar. The range where the bullets can go for dualies. So I'm guessing the bloom on this one is a little bit better. When you're firing as many bullets and stuff, I don't think it really matters unless you're in a very small percentage of meters, whatever you want to say. Where like this one is probably a little bit better at like 15 meters, but these ones are probably better at 10 meters. I'm still going to put them up here because of that surprise factor. If they don't know exactly where you're at, it can be hard for them to find you before they're dead. Dually Conversions. I'm going to put them at B just because you can put FMJ on these and just pen walls until you hit something. Like, it's pretty insane. They're also pretty accurate, and they got a ton of ammo. The reload kind of brings them down. They're not... I wouldn't say they're S and A's, but I definitely think they belong in B because you can check an entire building for players and still have ammo to spare. We got Dual Dolches. Dual Dolches are pretty good. They also get FMJ. They cost a lot. Not as much spare ammo and ammo to start with as the conversions, but decently faster reload than the conversions. And with the recent buff to the FMJ, this is Claw, by the way. This is Dolch Claw. This is Conversion Chain, Bornheim Extended, Bornheim Silenced, Bornheim Regular. These are conversions. I think these are some of the best dualies in the game. They get FMJ. Super cheap. That's why I think places them above the Dolch, because the Dolches are not very cheap. I don't know the exact price difference. We could take a look, but I think conversions run you $110 versus $1,400, $1,420. So I would say there's quite a big price difference there. And bang for buck, you're not getting that much more. So these ones without price are probably a little bit better, but these ones are just available everywhere. It depends on how we want to list them here, if we're including price or just combat. So I'll probably just go with combat, where like these ones are pretty good. These are the top. We got the Deadeye variant. I'm going to put it lower because I think it has worse bloom than this. I haven't fully tested, but from what I've played with, it feels like it's worse. Still pretty good. And then Dolch, you can put either one of these above the other. This is Claw, Dolch Claw, and this is Dolch Regular. I think Dolch Regular has the best bloom out of these three, but it's so minimal. Like when you're actually in the fight, it's so minimal that it doesn't really matter too much. And it costs less too, just a little bit less than that one. Lamotts are pretty good, man. Lamotts are pretty good. I like the duels quite a bit. This is me personally, I trust dual conversions more than dual Lamotts to get a double tap, especially at further ranges. And it does have less shots before you have to reload, but the reload, in my opinion, is quite a bit faster, where like you can shoot 12 bullets from the conversion and then get the reload to where you're shooting another 12 bullets before you can shoot. I don't know how many shots are in the Lamont, but it's quite a bit more than this, but the reload is so long. So you're never really fully reloading in the middle of a fight. It's kind of like after a fight. But then you get the shotgun element, which I think makes it a little bit better than this. They all get FMJ, which is phenomenal. So yeah, but like the accuracy of these ones is way better than these ones. I'd say the accuracy of this is better than this, but it's debatable. It's debatable. These are all pretty good duels. Silent Nagant is probably going down here somewhere. They're good, but they lose damage fall off really fast. So it usually takes 3 hits, which kind of puts it down with the Bornheims because the Bornheims take 3 hits. It gets that surprise factor, but it doesn't have as many bullets as the Bornheim. and the reload slower. So you could technically like try to put it up or lower, you know, kind of in the middle there, but we're going to place it there for now for the silent Nagants, simply because of the stuff I stated previously. We got regular Nagants. I'll probably put it a little above the silent Nagant because the damage fall off doesn't happen nearly as fast. Dual silent Nagant bleed and dual silent Nagant poison and regular poison and bleed are pretty nasty. So they're both really, really good. I would say most of this is definitely viable. Like, if you're looking for duels, any of this works in general. I would say this is probably the least viable out of all this. But yeah, when we're ranking weapons, we'll see exactly where they end up compared to some of the other casts that isn't Dualies. We got the New Army Swift. It's got a fast reload. The damage is quite a bit higher than the Nagants. I'm probably going to put it above Bornheim. It's got a decently fast reload. The damage is higher, and it's got a decent fire rate. Bornheim Extended's fire rate is a lot better than the Swifts. I should say a lot, tiny bit better. But I don't think it really makes that big of a difference in most fights unless, you know, it's like Bornheim versus Swift. In which case, I would rather be the person with the Swifts. Regular New Army, gonna put it a little bit lower. It's got, I think it's got better control. It doesn't reload as fast, and when you're shooting dualies, you kind of want to just throw a bunch of bullets down range, see if they die. If they don't, reload real quick and do it again. I would say the quicker reload is a bigger boon than slightly better accuracy. Then we got the Officer Brawler. I really don't trust the Officer stuff. I'm gonna put him around here. I don't know if I trust him more than the regular. When I talk about trust with dualies, there's a lot of RNG. For anyone who doesn't know, with dualies, they're never 100% accurate in the middle of your screen. I shouldn't say never, but it's random on where they go within a reticle. And so you got to have some faith in your duels that it's going to be kind of in a smaller cone, because where you aim depends on what kind of hits you get plus the RNG. If it's like a wide cone, doesn't matter exactly where you're aiming because the chance that it hits is so minuscule. And the difference between Officer and Nagant, I don't know how much bigger bloom. I know it has bigger bloom, but I don't think it's that much bigger. Officers are pretty good, but once again, it suffers from sometimes needing 3 shots to kill, while like the conversions doesn't necessarily need 3 shots to kill. 2 shots normally puts people down, especially with FMJ. These don't get FMJ, and 3 shots to kill can be a problem. So here's the regular Officer. We're going to put them around the same once again. Maybe we put one above, one below, just to kind of show that it's kind of intermingled down here on what's better, what's not. We could even put one like maybe above, not the New Army, but maybe there, just to kind of show that like most of these are pretty intertwined. Paxes, dual Paxes are still pretty good. They used to be really, really good, but now the Pax has gotten nerfed, so it's not top tier of dualies, but it's still phenomenal. It 2 taps consistently. It's got decent pen. It's got a lot of different options for ammo. Yeah, not much else to say. It's pretty well-rounded dually. Once again, it comes down to trust. This is my personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's great. I don't trust these things worth nothing. I have tried many times to use the Scotfield dualies, Scotfield Spitfire dualies, and every time I do, they miss 90% of their shots. I don't trust these things. I would rather melee with the knuckle than actually shoot the dualies at people. If they're right in front of my face, there's like a 30% chance I actually kill them. And if they're any further than that, it's like a 5% chance. I hate these things when it comes to dualies. When it comes to dualies, they are very inconsistent and long reloads, and just overall don't like them. Out of everything up here, I probably trust them about as much as this, even though these consistently have to 3-shot people instead of 2-shot, and this one has higher damage. I'm not going to put it above them because their spread is just god-awful. It just seems like they don't hit. Now, we're getting to the long barrel Swifts, and I think the long barrel Swifts are pretty good. I don't know, I wouldn't put them better than armies, I don't think. They're kind of on par with the armies, in my opinion. But the army fire rate is really good, and their damage is already consistently good. They both get FMJ. They're both good for pens, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's tough for me to rate a lot of these when I don't consistently play with all these all the time. So I'm thinking of past times that I played them and different tests I've done in like the shooting range about how consistent things are over just like, you know, having the actual facts of like, oh, this fire is 0.04 milliseconds faster per bullet than, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have that laid out in front of me for these ones. We're gonna put them around the new armies. I trust them about as much as the new armies. I think the Paxes are better if you're gonna go for a medium ammo dually than the Scotfields, but the Scotfields are pretty accurate in their cone, so I trust them a lot more than all of these. These aren't as accurate, so it depends on what you want. I think these fire a little bit faster. I think they reload a little bit faster, and then these ones are a little bit more accurate, so it's kind of that trade-off. Pax True Shot, pretty good. Honestly, though, I found them to be a lot slower on dualies than the actual Paxes. And the same thing with fanning. So I don't know. It's a pretty new weapon, and I haven't played dualies with it a lot. I've played more fanning with it and just single slot. Oh, this is single. This isn't even dualies. Let's get the dually. This is the dually down here. This is the Pax True Shot dualies. But yeah, I've obviously played with the Pax for like 5 years or something. It's been in the game since inception. This came into the game last patch, so I definitely have a lot more experience with this and how consistent they are, how fast they fire. But in comparison to the True Shot, it's pretty minuscule. It's pretty minuscule. Like, you might want to go like that, but somewhere around there when it comes to the duels. Conversion uppercut, you think because it's decently expensive, it's long ammo, and it can two-shot consistently, it'd be pretty high. But honestly, I think I'm going to put it below the Scotfields, because the Scotfields do a lot of that, but they reload faster, are pretty accurate, why these ones are not very accurate. I put them above these ones because, once again, they are way more consistent on the two-shot. Like, if you actually get a two-shot, they're more than likely going down. Like, if you get 2 hits, it's like, okay, that person's probably dead. You get 2 hits with these, and you should still be firing until you see them fall over. So I'm probably going to put them like mid, but they're not as good as the Dolches, especially with FMJ. Just way more shots, fire rate, all that kind of stuff. So like, I'm not the biggest fan of these. I think if you're wanting to bring something like this that's consistent, but way less cheaper, and in my opinion better when it comes to reload, fire rate, just go conversion FMJ. Conversion regular FMJ, I think, is much better, much more consistent than the uppercuts. Dual Sparks. I think personally these are the worst duel in the game, not because of their accuracy, but because they only get 2 shots. The next lowest, I think, is Bornheim at 10, but Dolch gets 20 shots. Army gets 10 or 12 shots. This gets 7 plus 7, it's like 14 shots. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these 12 shots, a lot of these get a ton of shots, but Sparks gets 2. If you miss 2, it's got a long ass reload. So, I mean, you're kind of praying to RNGesus for those 2 to hit. Also, if you hit 1, like, even if you do a lot of damage, if it's not in the head, it doesn't really matter if you do a lot of damage, because you still got to hit them again, right? You still got to shoot twice. So I'm probably going to put these maybe down here, because they're definitely not on the level of these. We'll put them in like D, maybe F, we'll see. But they are definitely the worst dualies. Then we got Spitfires. Once again, don't trust these. They're definitely better than the Brawler version. Fanning and duels with these things are just so hit or miss. So hit or miss. Like, all these are pretty consistent. These ones are like 50-50. And then these ones are kind of like, maybe we do something like this. Maybe something like that for right now. I feel like we do something like that for right now, and then we'll mix it up a little bit later, because these are just 60, 70%, 80%, you know, they'll hit in some cases. These are like 50-50, and then these are kind of like 50-50, but you might have to hit 3 times. And then these ones are like, this is strictly worse than I think some of the other Bornheims. And then these are strictly worse than the actual Scotfields for duels. I think they're just the downgrade versions of these ones. You can bring them if you want, but I would choose these ones over it. These are clearly worse than all the rest, so we'll probably put that in F tier for now. They're pretty bad. Sometimes they can come in clutch if you're wanting to bring in some low damaging rifle, like a Winfield that can fire a bunch, and then just bring these to like redown people, or to maybe get a second shot, or to shoot shotgunners up close or something. But even then, I'd still probably go levering Winfield. So they're not really needed in most builds. You used to get a ton of ammo for double stacking, but you don't get as much ammo anymore because they changed up how ammo works. And by double stacking, I mean bringing in 2 or 3 weapons of the same type, or 4, and then all their ammo pools together. But they changed how that works quite some time ago. Doesn't even do that very well. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid lineup for the duels. I think that takes care of the dualies. Now let's get to the meat of Hunt Showdown weapons, the main hand weapons. We got Pax True Shot, starting off with a tough one. In comparison to the dualies, we'll just put it with the other Paxes for now. I do think Dolch dualies are better. They cost a lot more, but I definitely think they are better than just the single Pax as a sidearm. So one of the trade-offs, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is that when you bring dualies, you swap between weapons slower. Different weapons have different swap speeds. So swapping to this weapon to go for the double tap is nice, but if you're playing close range, like these are way better. And most of the time, if you're playing close range, you're gonna have these out anyways before the fight starts or as you push a building or something. But like if you're going for a double tap, let's say you have a Sparks, right? Just a Sparks rifle, then you probably don't want dual Dolches as a backup to go for the double tap, because you're going to hit someone with the Sparks, then it's going to be a long ass pull out of the two dual Dolches, and then it's RNG if you actually hit it or not. So I'd say Pax True Shot is probably a better follow-up for Sparks. But in general, not including loadout or other weapons, I do think if someone has dual Dolches, they have a higher chance of success and nothing else than someone who just has a Pax True Shot. Let's see. We got Dolch Claw. Okay, this is going up there. It's a Dolch. It's probably the best secondary in the game. You can make it a main weapon if you want, like just bring the Dolch and like a, I don't know, a katana or something on the side. But yeah, most people, it fits in a single slot, so you can bring a main rifle or something. So like a Mosin or a crossbow or any of the big weapons, and still carry this on the side as a secondary. It does cost a lot. It is the most expensive secondary in the game, but it's also the best. You can put FMJ and bleed on it now, which is super annoying. So yeah, it is a phenomenal weapon. We got the Dolch Deadeye. I'm probably gonna bring it down a little bit compared to this one. This is the scoped version of the Dolch. The reason why is because with every scope, there is a delay on how accurate your gun is while you're scoping in. It's to nerf scopes to make them not the best thing in the game. It came in the game a while ago, but there's a small period of time where like if you see someone and you're not already ADSing in your Deadeye scope, as you're zooming in to find their head, it's inaccurate. So you can't like quickly fire. You can fire this faster. It is a secondary weapon. So generally speaking, you're going to be using it to complement your main hand. And so if you have like a shotgun and you want to use this as your main long range pistol or something, you can. But in general, Dolch is really, really good up close. A majority of the time, you're going to probably be within 50 meters. And this just makes it to where you can shoot faster around corners. You can shoot faster on surprise attacks, flick shots, like all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be faster with this than this. On the top end of using the Dolch, I think this one's better than that one in most scenarios. Looks like we got the drill hand cannon here. I used this a bunch yesterday, just as a heads up. I played with drill all day yesterday, for those that are watching on the YouTube. So I know these weapons pretty well. I was not a fan of how slow the initial shots were. The shotgun was pretty inconsistent. The initial shots, if you put bleed on it, it's okay because you expect it to be a little slow, but without bleed, it's pretty slow. But it does give you the utility of having a pocket shotgun. To carry a 3-slot weapon like Crown and the hand cannon, you need Quartermaster. So it is a Quartermaster weapon unless you bring 2 mediums. I'm just gonna put it in beat. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the drill hand cannon, and this is the drill hand cannon hatchet. So it just has a melee option. The melee option is garbage. It has like a delay. So unless it's fully charged before you do anything, if you let go of your mouse button or your melee button or whatever it is to attack, it comes out delayed. It doesn't actually come out when you let go of the button. It comes out like a second later. And it is really annoying. It happens with some of the other weapons too. But, you know, like all your tools, your utility and stuff doesn't have it. Bomb Lance doesn't have it. Like there's tons of melees that don't have it. A lot of the bayonets don't have it. So the fact that the hatchet has it just feels really bad, and it makes you lose a lot of melee trades where you would initially trade. Someone rushes you with a katana, you want to trade with them, so you go with the melee. Their katana hits you way faster. Their hitbox comes out way faster than this one because it's even delayed from when you actually let go. So you got to like premeditate where you're going to swing with it. So I do not like this melee at all. I think they need to clean it up. It's pretty bad melee wise, but having 2 shots that can double tap to death. And then also a pocket shotty on the bottom side is not too bad, especially if you're bringing like a carabiner cyclone or something. This is a good secondary. So not build included, it's a pretty all-roundy weapon, but it's not the best. It's not the best. Muzzle velocity is kind of slow. The melee on the hatchet is garbage tier, really, really bad. And the shotgun's inconsistent. We got katana. It is a pretty good melee option. I'm probably going to put it, as far as melees go, I think it's probably a B. We'll see exactly where we end up, because I think Bomb Lance is going to go A. So yeah, I think it'll go solid B. It's above average. It's like carrying a katana in your secondary. Let's say you have a Winfield katana or Winfield New Army. I do think you have a better chance of winning the match with katana. Not only does it kill bosses faster, but you can hide around a corner and surprise shotgunners. Yeah, there's just a lot of... And it does so much damage that it consistently one-taps people. I do think it's probably above most of these pistols as a secondary, unless you have a shotgun main. If you have a shotgun main, then you probably want to go with these pistols. But, and these are dualies right now. So like, I don't know. I don't know exactly where we want to put it. We could put it C, because these are dualies. I was thinking just the single, but dualies are generally better than katana, generally. When it comes, they kind of scale differently. It's hard to compare the melees to these because like I'm comparing the katana to other melees and shotguns, which is when you normally use them, is against shotgunners if you don't have a shotgun yourself. But compared to just like the straight up pistol, it is better to have some kind of ranged option. And these are fast fire rate dualies. So maybe we put it C for now and we'll go from there. The bat, I'm going to put in C behind katana. It's got less reach, does less damage. And they nerfed it to where it has 2 hits for immolators and stuff like that. So it was better. I think it was on par and a good option because it's a single slot. But I do think katana's better if you have quartermaster. It's more consistent, further reach, all that kind of stuff. So if you have quartermaster, this is better. If you don't have quartermaster, the bat is very strong. This is the Lamont Carbine Marksman. Probably gonna go C. Once again, we'll put the melees at the bottom because it's almost generally better to have some kind of ranged option, generally speaking. But like I said, the reason why these are in D is because they are strictly worse than guns that are already in C, right? So they have better counterparts. And there's big weaknesses for these. And the reason why these are in F is because they just don't fill the role of what they need to be doing, right? But like, this is one of the weaker scopes in my opinion. They tried buffing it a little bit, and I think the buff helped. But it's still, like, how much does it cost? It's 134. And so it's competing with like Winfield Marksman, $56. And you can lever it, by the way, the Winfield. But then let's look at like Senti Sniper, 229. Let's look at like Crag Snipe, 5.7. Okay. Let's look at Carabiner Marksman is 190. So for its price range, it's not too terribly bad. But I think it's probably on par with the Winfield Marksman. Maybe a little above it just because of the shotgun potential. But I don't think it's better than, it's definitely not better than the like some of the other scopes. I struggle to say this is better than Carabiner Marksman. I do struggle to say that. The shotgun is nice, like the versatility with the shotgun, but I don't know, bro. I don't know. Let's put it in C for now, and I'll see where I want to throw some of the other scopes, like the Winfield, the Carabiner, all those. I don't know which one this is. Okay, that's the Deadeye. These pictures look like interchangeable to me. I don't know where the Deadeye has got to be like on the side, but this is regular Berthy. It is long ammo, shoots multiple shots, and it does over 125 damage, has decent muzzle velocity, not the best, but good pin, good damage, multi-shot, all that kind of stuff. Good, decent irons. Makes it A tier. Long ammo is just good. And if you're a multi-shot long ammo gun, you're going to be good. Deadeye, I'm probably going to put behind it. Once again, it's got that scope delay. I don't think the Deadeye zooms in enough to make it worth it to have that delay on your gun. So I'm going to put it a little behind, but yet, once again, long ammo, multi-shot rifle, going to be good. This is the Marksman. Now that might be worth having the delay. I don't know why I can't move it in front of that. There we go. That might be worth having the delay on, especially with Spitzer. So if you put Spitzer on your gun, I think this version is probably better than this one in most cases. Then we got the Birthy Riposte. Birthy Riposte is pretty good when it comes to its sway and stuff. It really depends if you want the sway, but I'm going to say it's pretty interchangeable with these two. But yeah, Birthy, long ammo rifle, going to be good. Bomb lance, I'm going to put pretty high up there. A lot of people might not put it on the same ballpark as some of the long ammo guns. So obviously it's probably going to be a little bit lower than the long ammo guns. That's why I'm putting it over here. But it's a lot stronger than people think it is. It kills bosses super fast. PvE doesn't always matter, but it does matter in compounds where like you need to get your bars back. There's people surrounding you. There's people fighting boss and you want to push in. Also, it gets a ton of utility. It's basically, it's the best melee in the game. And it also, with steel balls, can be a pretty good shotgun, like a silent shotgun that can't pen. One shot. So it's like best melee in the game plus a Romero. It's a little worse than a regular Romero, but still I would say it consistently kills outside of like 11, 12 meters. So steel balls, really good with it, and it allows you to take control of boss buildings very easily. It also has the frag grenade potential, and the frag grenade potential is pretty insane because you can launch frags into, like, let's say a building. It makes them bleed, the opponent bleed, and then you rush in with the actual best melee in the game. And it's really hard for people to stop that. Like, they either die to bleed or try to patch it and they're getting swiped on. So like it gives you a lot of opportunity to push into buildings. It gives you opportunity to clear angles, which is what Bomb Lance wants to do, because then it knows where people are and where it aren't, so it can start slicing. It's really good at chasing people down. Overall, I just think it's a phenomenal weapon, and the only thing I think holding it back from being one of the best close range weapons in the game, it already is a very good close range, but one of the best close range weapons, so over like some of the shotguns, would be its reload. It only gets one shot and the reload is a monster. It's really long, and it feels even longer when you're in close range because people get to do so much while you get to do so little. It also has the missile, which can stick people and instantly blow them up if they don't have bulwark, and it can light people on fire, which also gives you an opportunity to push. But I think the frag grenade in general is better because you don't have to have a view of the person to get a status condition on them. So I do think it's really strong. It might go down to B, but I'm going to leave it an A right now. I think it's the best melee in the game, so that's going to put it above all the other melees. See, I'm going to have trouble placing the saber because it's a single slot now, and it's got good range. Doesn't have quite as good damage as Katana, but I think it's better than Katana. So I don't know if I want to put it there and put Bomb Lance down here, or put that there, so people can see that, like, for me, this is the best melee in the game. This is second best, third best, fourth best. Do you see what I'm saying? And these ones are a lot closer in how good they are than I think these ones, because this one is a single slot. This one's a double slot, needs quartermaster, all that kind of stuff, limits your build, limits how many builds can run it. And let's see, we're down to the Bornheim. So we're gonna leave this like this for now, but we might mix up exactly where the melees end up at the end. Combat Axe is going down. It has a pretty long swing, does a decent amount of damage. When I say long, I mean like the wind up, and then the actual animation for it is pretty slow, so a lot of other weapons, melee weapons, can get like 1, 2, or 3 attacks off before this finishes its animation. So it's kind of clunky, and it swings in a vertical slice, like pretty much vertical, slightly vertical, which makes it worse than a lot of the pointy ones, because the pointy ones go out while this one goes down. It can make it really uncomfortable to try to melee someone below you. Most melee weapons struggle to hit someone below you, but this one really struggles. So it's going down a tier. Then we got the Bornheims, non-dually. I am gonna say, I don't think the dually fire rate of the Bornheims outweighs being precise with the dualies, or with Bornheim, because it already has good fire rate. Bornheim in general has good fire rate. The only thing holding it back is its damage. It has pretty piss poor damage, so it's kind of more so a head clicker, where you kind of want to be aiming for heads, but you get a lot of shots to try to aim for heads. And these are almost guaranteed to be 3 shots because it's very rare for you to get the headshot with them. Why these ones can be a 1 or 2 shot, depending on if you end up clicking the head on the first or second shot. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot more potential for these weapons to be better. I don't think this has enough ammo to outweigh the dualies, this one, because you run out of ammo real quick with how fast the fire rate is, but this is a very good sidearm. This is a very good sidearm. I don't think it's better than these dualies. It's probably better than dually uppers. I would take this over dually uppers for most builds. I don't know if I would take it over this stuff for most builds. Bornheim match. It can 2-tap. It can 2-tap, but it does need quartermaster. It's got really good stability, really good head clicker. Not as much ammo as the extended, but it can 2-tap, so that puts it above. It doesn't necessarily 2-tap, but it can. And 2-tapping matters a lot in this game. Silencer. Silencer isn't as bad as people make it out to be. Is it better than those duels, though? I don't know if it's better than the duels. I don't think it's better than the dual Bornheims, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. There is a lot of instances where you need a lot of shots with it, but it gets high velocity, and it already has a pretty high velocity, so a silent weapon with super high velocity is pretty good. Also, you can kind of fan it. You're not fanning it, but you just shoot all its bullets rather quickly and hope they hit. It's kind of RNG, but like you can semi-guide it, but you just go right? And it kills people pretty fast. Like, people don't realize how fast the kill time is on 3 shots from this thing if you're up close. And you get a few opportunities to miss and still get the 3-tap. So I think it's better than people think it is, but it's not the best. It's not the best. New Army by itself, I think, is worse than its duels. I think it's probably worse than Bornheim Extended. We'll put it there. I like the Swift variants because they reload faster. Reloading quick matters a lot in a lot of these games, in a lot of the games with these guns. Let's go ahead and put... I kind of need to see where I put some of the main hand weapons, because right now we've done dualies, we've done some melees, and then we've done single shot pistols. So without comparison to, like, let's just get some of the big ones up there for right now. Let's go down and look through this. So we got Nitro. Let's get Nitro up there. We know Nitro's going up. It's in S tier. We got Mosin. Mosin's going up. We got Optimat. Optimat's going up, but it's probably going a little bit lower. We'll see. Cyclone. Crossbow. Where do I want to put crossbow? It probably belongs in B. Probably behind the dual Dolches. These kind of need separate tier lists now that I'm thinking about it, and we might want to do that in the future. So let me know down in the comments if you would like separate tier lists for this, because like there's the main hand weapons, and then there's sidearms, and then there's melees. And you can compare them to each other rather easily, but saying like a melee like this is better than these is hard for me to do in general, because it's nice to have let's say the new army has like 12 shots or something. It's nice to have 12 shots to shoot at someone instead of a melee, but if you're in a building and you're on top of a stairwell and someone's pushing the stairwell, I would rather have the saber than the dualies, especially if this is like dually bleed, because the dually bleed is going to get blocked by the railing on most stairwells. And it's really hard for someone who's pushing the stairwell to aim at you accurately with most of the weapons, or they might not even pull them out because they're running up the stairs. So they have to pull out the weapon first, right? And then you just jump on them, saber them, boom, they're done, right? And so it's really like certain instances this is better, certain instances this is better, but it's nice to be able to separate so people understand that I'm talking about saber versus katana, because I think saber as a single slot is better than katana as a 2 slot. But yeah, so just take it. I'm gonna do it this way this year. Let me know what you think. But I'm trying to the S, A, B, C, D, F is kind of in comparison with the weapons they're up against or competing against for that slot, right? So like dualies are competing for generally a secondary slot. A lot of people don't bring dualies as their main, so usually they'll bring like a crossbow and then quartermaster, dual dolches or something, right? They don't necessarily bring it as their big weapon. It's kind of a backup weapon. So I'm kind of comparing it in that way, and then melees are kind of compared against other melees, and then the main hand weapons are compared against the main hand weapons. But clearly, like, these are the best secondaries, right? So maybe I go main hand weapons, then I go secondaries, then I go melees. Maybe I order them that way, so then it's a little bit more concise and you can kind of see where things stack up. So let's do that. We're going to do the furthest to the left is going to be main hands. Then we're going to do secondaries, and then we're going to do melees. Because there's just too much to account for when it comes to like having a bullet that can shoot and kill someone 50, 60 meters, and then having a melee option that can kill bosses, jump on people from second story buildings, and all that kind of stuff, right? hide in bushes and then melee someone. Like the other day, I had a nitro, but someone was hiding in a bush. I happened to go in that bush, got meleeed. Like, it was much better that he had a melee in that option, in my opinion, than Dualies, because I would have had a little time to react in between the dual shot to shoot the nitro, right? So like it's super dependent on different circumstances. So yeah, we're gonna go main hand weapons, secondaries, melees. Order it that way. And more so, I'm comparing them to the other ones in the list in that category, whether they be secondaries or mains or whatever. We got the bow. Weird one, because it can be a secondary or a main. Most of the time, I'd say it works better as a secondary, though. So we're going to put it in the secondaries. I do like how accurate it can be. Plus, it can one-shot. Plus, you can get your arrow back, so you can fight bosses and mobs and take them out silently. So I would say it's better than a decent amount of the dualies as a secondary. You got concertina wire, frag grenades. Like, there's a lot of options with this that are competitive. It's got good utility. So it's in a weird spot, but I'm gonna put it in the secondaries, and I'm gonna compare it to most of the other secondaries here. Conversion pistol as secondary, it's got fanning and stuff, but the fanning is pretty inaccurate. Honestly though, I'd probably rather have fanning chain than the hand cannons, than the drill hand cannons. I think I would rather have fanny chain. This takes quartermaster, and yeah, it has the shotgun, but FMJ on the chain is just ruthless, and you can hit people, you can pre-fire, hit people before they come around the corner through the wall, all that kind of stuff. This gets FMJ too, but it only gets 2 shots, so I like your chances of hitting much better with this one. So it definitely goes above those. Is it better than these duels? I think it depends on build. I'm not going to put it above those builds, those duels, because I think it depends on build. Then we got regular conversion. Regular conversion is going to go down a bit. It's got FMJ. It's got a decent fan. It's got a really good fan, actually. But it only gets, I think it's 6 shots. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it only gets 6 shots. And it's got a decently long reload. I do think PAX True Shot, I don't know. They're pretty in line, but I would rather have you know, a 1-shot shotgun and then the 2 shots from drill, I think, over the fanning of this one, just because it gets way less bullets, less opportunity. Although it is a very good fan. It is a very, very good fan. I definitely put it above like the Bornheims and stuff. If I have fanning with this, I'd take it over all of these. I'd take it over all these, yeah. If I'm looking to win. If I'm looking to win. When it comes to the other secondaries. Uppercut. This is my favorite weapon in the game, but it has been nerfed like 4 times. I do have an argument for it being worse than PAX in a lot of situations. I don't think I need to explain it here again because I explained it on the other 2, but basically PAX fires a little bit faster. It has less muzzle velocity, and most of the time, a lot of people go, bro, but you got like a pocket sniper. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, people that use uppercut do not use it to snipe if they're playing well, because they're going to get outshot by like Mosins and Berthies. It's like a last resort against these guns. It's not your first resort against these guns, if that makes sense. And we're talking at range. So like if a Mosin's trying to hit you from 100 meters, I don't think you should be contesting with an uppercut. A lot of people do. A lot of people are like, bro, it's an uppercut, you know? Fucking long ammo, woo! And it's like, no, at 100 meters, I don't think you should contest a Mosin. You should use your main weapon, and if your main weapon doesn't work, like let's say it's a shotgun, doesn't work outside of 10 meters, then wait till the Mosin gets within 10 meters. If it doesn't get within 10 meters, then you go the other way. You see what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't be using the uppercut to contest rifles that are built for shooting long range, because most of the time, more than 50%, more than 60%, I'd probably say about 70%, 80%, you will lose those fights. The only time you don't is when the person who has this really fucks up or puts themselves in a really bad position. So like the Mosin is sitting in water 100 meters away and they can't really move. So you have a lot of time to get shots downrange and find the headshot or the double tap or whatever, right? So I personally don't think with its reload, how slow its reload is, all that kind of stuff, that it's so much better than PAX, than the chain pistol with FMJ, like all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put it around this range in B. I really don't think it's as good as a lot of people think it is. I think it's a fun weapon, and I think it's consistent. And consistency matters a lot in Hunt for players to feel like a weapon is good. If a weapon's inconsistent, like Nagant's sometimes 2-shot, sometimes 3-shot. So if you know it has the opportunity to two-shot, and you shoot someone twice and they don't die, that makes you feel bad. And you're like, oh, I hate these weapons. They're so inconsistent, blah, 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 right? Uppercut, you hit someone once, you're like, all right, they took a chunk of damage, and you hit them again, you expect them to die, right? You're like, very consistently they die. If they don't die, you're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it shocks you that they didn't die. So consistency matters when people talk about a weapon feeling good, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of people think it is. It is a very consistent weapon. It does what it says it does. I'm going to put these below the actual uppercut. One, this is the uppercut with the stock on it, and this is the uppercut with the stock and a scope, the Deadeye. I am putting them lower than the actual uppercut. One, because this needs quartermaster. Two, when you fire it, or like when, yeah, you fire it and then go to ADS your second shot, it does this weird, like, I don't know, it's like this weird, the barrel comes in from a weird angle and it like circles in the middle of the screen. You'll see it if you pay attention to it. If you swap weapons to it and go to ADS, you'll see it like circle the middle of the screen and then end up where it's supposed to. And I really, really dislike that. The regular uppercut doesn't do that. But this is pretty stable. It's a pretty stable shot. So you can say, you know, for me, I feel like this one does its part, doesn't need quartermaster, and doesn't have that weird circle in the middle where it comes down, it circles around, finds its spot. This one is delayed. It's got a scope, so it's got a slight delay on it. I don't think the scope's worth it. So you can do it, you can mess around with it to have fun with it, all that kind of jazz, but I think it's strictly worse than the regular upper. We got our Paxes. Like I said, I think Pax is on par with uppercut, and I'm going to put it above these ones because I would rather take these than these if I'm looking to win. They can fan, they get bleed, they get, I think they get FMJ now. Like, they are very, very consistent weapons, and people underestimate these weapons a lot. Very fast fire rate in between shots compared to other single shot pistols. It doesn't compete with the, what are those called? Like Officer and New Army, because those fire really fast when it comes to actual fire rate, but the damage is consistent. It can't one-tap someone if they've already been downed unless they lose a 50 bar. So that's the only reason I'm going to put it kind of there, but you could kind of do something like this where they're pretty interchangeable. Use this if you're using like a long ammo, rifle, stuff like that. I would use this if I'm using a shotgun personally. So it just depends. Depends if you want a little extra ammo. I might use this if I'm using a weak rifle. So like if I'm using a Winfield that can't one-tap people when they're down after they've been downed once, then I'll probably bring an uppercut as a backup because it can potentially one-tap someone after they've been down, why this one can't. So that's the main difference. If this one-taps someone when they're down, I'd say this is strictly better. I'd say this is strictly better, and they'd probably be up a little bit higher, but it can't. So if you want to one-tap someone after they've been down, and take that over all the drawbacks of firing slower, slower reloads, less ammo, like all that jazz, go for it. Let's go with Caldwell Rival. Honestly, so Caldwell Rival used to be one of the best shotguns in the game, and for me, it's just gotten weaker and weaker. Even as, so they did nerf it and put it into a medium slot, so the slugs do less damage. But this shotgun has gotten super inconsistent over the years. It used to be really consistent two-tap. Now, I literally yesterday hit someone with a double barrel shotgun at like 2 meters twice, and they didn't go down. That happened yesterday. Like, it's super inconsistent. And it's not like my shot wasn't on them. It's just, that's how RNG works. It's got a nasty spread. So I think it's a good shotgun for beginners because it's cheap and it fires twice, all that kind of stuff. But I think most of the other shotguns are better now, in my opinion. It has a fast fire rate too for the 2 shots. Decent reload. But I'm going to put it in C in comparison to the other shotguns, and like crossbow, I think is better. 2 slugs on this is okay, but it's decently expensive. This is basically a slug shotgun, and it bleeds, but it can't pen, and it's 50 bucks. This is going to run you like $200 or something, and it only shoots twice. Like, I'm putting crossbow above it for sure. Crown and King, it's the best shotgun in the game. I think it's better than Nitro these days with slugs because you get more shots and they kind of act in similar fields. The Nitro is really strong with Shredder, but they nerfed Shredder recently to where it's not as consistent of a one-shot at range. So now that you're going to have to be firing Nitro closer, I mean, people already fired Nitros at decently close range if you know what you're doing with it. But the fact that a lot of the fights are going to happen within like 20 meters and Crown Slugs covers that already, I think it puts it above it just having more shots. So I think the Crown has finally eclipsed the Nitro in 4 years. Finally is better than the Nitro rifle. And well, actually they've both been in the game for the run time of the game, so 5 years. I don't think the Crown has been better in any way, shape, or form for 5 years until they nerfed Shredder. And maybe before they introduced Shredder, it was kind of like in between there, but Nitro still one shot at like 80 meters, even without Shredder. So it was like 73 meters or something. But now it's less, so I'm going to put Crown and King. It's the best shotgun in the game without a doubt. It's much more reliable at close range than the like Berthy and things like that. I would say Mosin is still more reliable than this. You get 5 shots and it has a clip reload, which people severely underestimate how fast the reload is and how accurate this gun is, plus how much damage it does, plus its pen. Like, this is still really good in close range and really good at long range. Why this is more of a long range, long ammo rifle, like medium to long. You don't want to be fighting at 5-10 meters with a Crown and King with this gun. 5-10 meters with Mosin, you still stand a pretty good chance. So hopefully people understand that the reason why I'm putting Berthy in A, but the Mosin is above and Crown is above that. Hopefully they understand the reasoning behind that. But yeah, I think Crown Slugs shreds this close range, but this shreds Crown Slugs at 35 meters plus. I would probably say like 40 meters. Then we got the hand cannon. The hand cannon's gonna be worse than this one, so we'll put it here for now. This is a secondary grab, and I do think it's better. I do think if you're bringing a rifle, it is way better to bring a shotgun than dualies, than most dualies. So I do think, I know this is in C, but I might bump this for the secondaries, because it is a secondary slot, quartermaster slot. I might put it up here somewhere. I don't think it's better than bow. I don't think it's better than bow secondary though. Like, you can slug this and stuff, which makes it phenomenal, but I don't think it's better than bow. This just has too much utility with concertina wire and stuff. Very good secondary though. Very, very good secondary. The pocket shotties catch a lot of people off guard. They don't see it coming because they're getting shot at with Mosin Spitzer or something, and then they push, and then they get shot by a slugged shotgun. This is one of the better pocket shotties, so take that with what you will. But I think it's better than dualies. There's a reason why a lot of people bring this instead of dualies when it comes to like people that are wanting to, or playing, tryharding. Let's say tryharding. There's a reason why they bring this over some of the dualies. I do think though, in general, some of these dualies are more optimal than this. Like, I think the Dolches might be more optimal, and I think conversion might be more optimal than this when it comes to loadout. It just depends on your loadout. I think bow is a little bit more optimal too. Silent can one shot further. So I'm gonna put it there. It's not in comparison to this shotgun. This shotgun is obviously better than this one. If you just bring one weapon, this one is better than this one. But once again, I'm comparing the main weapons, then secondaries, then melees, if that makes sense. Dolch is going up. Woo, good old Dolch. You can interplace. I really don't know how big the difference is between Dolch Claw and Dolch. They're both Dolches. Like, this one I'm guessing is slightly less accurate than this one. Like, it's a little bit more, has a little bit more sway, if that makes sense. But it's pretty negligent from what I've seen, from what I've used. It just feels like this has a melee attachment and this one doesn't. But you can put one or other above. It doesn't matter to me. But they're very good secondaries. Dolch P! It is the best version of Dolch. People severely underestimate the Dolch P. It is worth getting Quartermaster for, because it is better than these. A lot better than people think. What I mean by that is, when people see the Dolch and they see Dolch P, they're like, do I really need Quartermaster for it, right? Why not just get the Dolch? Do I really need Quartermaster for the Dolch P? But it is so accurate, man. It is so accurate. It is stable. It's got a good swap. Yeah, I trust this one to hit headshots. I don't necessarily trust this one to hit headshots unless they're really close. This is more of like a double tapper. Why this one I do trust to hit headshots. Hand crossbow. All right, this is an extremely good secondary, especially for its price. And yeah, I think it deserves a spot kind of up there. I think it's worse than the shotgun, less consistent. You can hit arm a lot, but you can bring poison and fire, which pretty much no other secondary can bring those things. I'm pretty sure it's the only secondary that can bring the Poison Cloud. I'm pretty sure it's the only thing in the game that has Poison Cloud. And then it basically has like a Hellfire. It's not quite a Hellfire, it's smaller, but Hellfire ammo that you shoot it, it blows up in a small thing, instantly lights people on fire. It can burn bodies, all that kind of stuff. It is one of the best utility things in the game. And then on top of that, even if you don't bring any of the special ammo, it has a bolt that can one-shot someone up close. So not horrible. Its muzzle velocity is super weak, so you really got to get used to it, but it's probably some of the best utility in the game. I use it a ton because of its utility and its uniqueness in comparison to most of these others. So I do think it's better than most of the duels just because of its utility. Its chance to one-shot, like, it's a phenomenal weapon, and it's cheap. The crossbow is really good. Hand crossbow. I'd pair that, like, if I'm prestiging, stuff like that. It's really good to pair with, like, a Winfield, a carabiner. Like, any multi-shot rifle, have that as a backup, and you can control fights. You can control what entrances people can push through. You can control if you kill someone, you can range keep them down. So like if someone, usually if you light one of them on fire, even with the hand crossbow, people will throw chokes, but if you poison a body, they don't necessarily throw the choke, right? So like it's one of those instances where it's like, okay, do I want them to choke this area or just keep the person down? Most of the time the antidote or the poison will keep them down, but usually you can poison, burn, and concertina. Like you can just get everything there on a dead body really quick with a hand crossbow. It just takes care of a lot of instances. Also, the poison does a lot more damage than people think if someone doesn't have antidote. I don't know the exact damage, but it's like 100. It's quite a bit. So it two taps. The poison two taps if you don't have antidote, and it has a range effect. So even if you don't hit directly, it can still do damage, and quite a bit of it, especially with damage ticks. So like it's a phenomenal weapon. A lot of people underestimate it. We got the Lamats. I'm probably going to put it above the dual Lamats. You can fan it. It's got a good fanning. It's got FMJ. It's got a shotgun backup, which can come in clutch if you're getting rushed by a bomb lance or something. I trust this a lot more than I would trust like both shotguns from the Lamat. I trust the fan on this about as much or a little bit more than the chain pistol, plus it gets a shotgun attachment. So yeah, the Lamat is a really good secondary. Carbine! Where did I put the other carbine? I'm going to put it around there for right now. These are both the carbines. This is carbine with a scope. This is regular carbine. And I'm just going to keep them kind of close together here. Whatever one you want to put first, you know, is dependent on how you feel about the game and what you want to do with it. I think range-wise, because this doesn't headshot super duper far, you probably want to play without the scope. But, I mean, the scope variant can be fun to mix it up. So I think probably this is better than this one optimally, but either or, the difference is pretty negligible. Upper mat, I do think this is worth in both packs and uppercut, and competing with these. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put it below those. It's above drill. I like it more than the drill hand cannon, to be honest. The drill two-shot and stuff is nice, but you get a lot of shots with the upper mat. A lot of long ammo shots. You also get the shotgun version of it, and the shotgun isn't horrible, but it does, you can't fan it, and it does take quartermaster. So that's what I'm thinking of. You can't fan these either. Yeah, I'll probably put it like around there, but I still think the uppercut is better than this. It's only a single, and this has the shotgun, but this does more damage. I also think this is higher muzzle velocity. This might be higher muzzle velocity. The upper mat is faster, right? Holy dude, upper mat's 530. That speed is nice. The speed is very nice, especially for a secondary. How far does it one-shot headshot? 112 meters. How far is upper? 115, but where's the regular? 115. Okay, so it's about the same distance headshot-wise. That's a tough one, man. I don't like that it takes quartermaster, but there are quite a few weapons. You could bring like upper mat and hand cannon, and that would be a pretty strong build, right? And you don't need quartermaster for it. You bring upper mat and bow, that'd be a really strong build. So like, the only problem is it can't re-down. So its damage is a little less, and it might not two-tap as consistently. So it might go there. I don't think it's as good as these duels as a secondary, but as if you were gonna go like dualies and bow, or upper mat and bow, I think upper mat and bow is better if you're doing like a medium slot build. I don't recommend it, but you can do that, mess around, have some fun. The shotgun part isn't in consideration for me. Like I think it's good, but it's a shotgun, right? It's a one-shot shotgun. So like, let's say someone's super close and it's your last resort, right? And it doesn't kill, like you're fucked, right? Like someone's at the door, they have a shotgun, you know, like a Caldwell rifle or something. They open the door, you fire, you get bad RNG, like you're done at that point, right? So I really dislike RNG and one shots. So the shotgun is nice to have as like an oh shit button, but you really shouldn't ever rely on it unless you're in a situation where you lit someone on fire with hand crossbow, they're trying to patch it, and then you're coming around the corner on them, you know, really close. And even then, it's like, maybe it kills, maybe it doesn't, right? It'd be better to have a katana in that instance. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a huge fan of the one-shot shotguns. That's why the drill is as low as it is, because it's pretty unreliable, the drill hand cannon. It's not the worst, but if you don't get that hit, like there was a couple times yesterday where I shot at someone, didn't get the kill, and then we're just like awkwardly looking at each other while I try to swap over to the other drill or swap weapons or something, because it's like, hopefully I just don't die here, you know? It's AD strafing. So it's nice to have an oh shit shotgun, but don't rely on the oh shit shotgun. That's why, like, this is an oh shit shotgun, but it can reliably, I would say it kills people most of the time, especially with slugs, within 10-ish meters if you hit twice. If you go boom, boom, there's a good chance. And you might even down them on this first shot, right? So, like, the consistency of just having 2 shots over 1 is so much higher when it comes to something you can rely on. And so I don't really rely on the upper mat shotgun. It's nice to have, and when it works, that's great. But when it doesn't work, you're dead. And that feels bad. That feels bad. Like if you miss with the crossbow, it's a one-shot bolt. If you miss with the crossbow at like 25 meters, just make sure you have some cover and reload, right? And then you get another chance. You miss at 5 meters, I shouldn't even say you miss, you don't get the kill at 5 meters, you're dead or trading, right? Like the best you can hope for at that point is trade, unless your opponent fucks up. Like your opponent just, you know, has a seizure at the keyboard and doesn't do anything, which you can't really rely on, you're dead. You're dead. So it's reliability, kind of what I said with the uppercut. The uppercut is a little bit more reliable on redowning people and doing what it's supposed to. I don't trust pocket shotguns, attached shotguns, like the Lamont shotgun, the hand cannon, and the upper mat. I'm very skeptical on those weapons because they have failed me a bunch. I trust it a little bit more than Penny Derringer. Yeah, that's what I would say. There's like a scalability of trust. Penny Derry is like pretty low, and then this is the next tier up, and then comes like pocket shotty, hand crossbow, regular bolt, then comes like actual shotty, then comes like rifle and pistols doing the damage they said they would do. You know what I'm saying? Like those consistent pistols. You know what I'm saying? And then there's the rifles. Usually do what they say they do. Most of the rifles, not all of them. Like Carabiner and Winfield have huge damage drop off outside of compounds. It's crazy to me how much Carabiner damage drop off is for it being a medium ammo. This looks like a regular Lebel. This looks like App. This is Marksman. This is Talon. I think for the most part, Mosin is minusculely better than the Lebels, primarily because of the reload. The clip reload is very good, but this gets 10 shots before it has to reload. So you have to reload once in between shots here. It's not that big of a deal when it comes to the actual fights, especially with the reload being decently fast. But if you have to reload twice to get that 15 shots with the Mosin or 15 shots with Lebel, Lebel is super slow. Also, Mosin fires a little bit faster in between shots, but it's pretty negligible. Like if a Mosin is against a Lebel, I don't think, like if a Mosin player is against a Lebel player, I don't think the person who wins because they had a Mosin or they had a Lebel. I think they win because they hit their shots more consistently than the other one, or hit a lucky shot, or wall banged in a good place. You know, it's negligible who wins between these two, in my opinion. The weapon is negligible on who wins between these two when they go up against each other. I do think if you're looking statistically though, this weapon gets picked more, I would say, and generally people tend to like it more. And it does fire. The fire rate is a little bit faster on this one, just a tiny bit. So if we're making a tier list, which we are, I think this one edges out the Lebel with irons, but they're very close. Aperture is going to go behind. I mean, you can put it down. There's a little bit, I feel like there's a little bit more sway with the app than the regular, but the app is pretty on par. Marksman, I think Marksman is better. Depending on build, I think Marksman is better than Mosin. I think Lebel Marksman is phenomenal. It's good at almost every range. And you can outrange a Mosin. Like, generally, a Mosin player at 110 yards might miss a shot or two, while you can consistently, with Spitzer, hit their head at 150 meters. I mean, it is an insane weapon. It's probably the best weapon in the game, one of, with Mosin Sniper and regular Mosin. So it's very good. Depending on your build, if you want to bring like Dolch P or an uppercut, I would say this is probably better with uppercut because you get more long ammo. And then if you're going to play Spitzer, then probably Dolch, or bring like an Obrez with Spitzer, you know what I'm saying? And then just play long range. Phenomenal weapon though, one of the best in the game. Especially if you're not playing objective and you're just playing to like kill other players, this is better at killing other players than this one without the chance of you dying. Like, minimizing the chance of you dying versus the amount of kills you get, this is better than this one. If you're talking about fighting inside of a compound within 40 meters, this one is better than this one. So like, take that way you will. Lebel Talon, F tier. It's cursed. Probably the worst weapon in the game. You will die horribly if you ever pick this weapon up. It's insane. It's insane how consistently people who load in with Lebel Talon end up absolutely in the worst way possible. It's like Hunt Showdown has a vendetta against anyone who uses this weapon. If you want any proof, Hunt Showdown released a trailer in which someone was using a Lebel Talon and they got lobotomized. Okay? So I'm just throwing it out there. Hunt Showdown approved. The Lebel Talon is absolutely cursed. If you don't believe in curses, okay, it's probably about here, because the Talon variant of it is garbage. When it comes to melee, it's super slow, all that kind of shit. But it is a Lebel, so it's probably there. But we all know it's cursed. There's no getting around it. It's cursed. Worst weapon in the game, you should never bring it. Machete, they buffed it recently, but it's still got a lot of problems. It's still worse than the Combat Axe. There's not much to say here. It swings left to right, which means the chance of hitting someone's arm over their mid-piece section is pretty high in comparison to the others. It gets stuck on doors, it gets stuck in doorways. Like, it's just not, it's not as consistent as the ones that hit middle of screen or hit like in a vertical slice. Horizontal swings in this game make the weapon or whatever less consistent. Consistency matters. We got Martine. Probably gonna go below crossbow and B. We might put it down to C. Like, it might go C, might go B. We'll see. In comparison to other main hands, we'll see how that rolls. I'm gonna put it down here for right now. This is the Deadeye, this is the Ironside, and this is the Marksman. I honestly think, like, yeah. So you can use the scopes on Martini. I'll explain some Martinis in a second. Let me get this up there. Okay, that's all the Martinis. So I think the Ironside and the Riposte are the best Martinis. The Ironside has a huge thing blocking your vision, which is really annoying, but the fire rate and stuff is phenomenal with this weapon. So I wouldn't underestimate the Martini Ironside. Martini Ironside might even go like a little bit further up than some of the other ones. But the scopes, the reason why I don't like the scopes more than like Caldwell Rival or something, for instance, is because generally speaking, what makes a good scoped weapon is it being scoped and also having a high muzzle velocity and then a high headshot kill range. So the Martini has a high headshot kill range and nothing else. It's super slow bullet. One of the slowest long ammo weapons in the game. It might be the slowest long ammo weapon in the game. You really shouldn't be using it to snipe because in general, if you're going up against these kind of snipers with this, you're gonna lose a majority of the time. Now, you can use it to snipe for fun and all that kind of stuff, that's fine, but just know that it's when it comes to snipers, it doesn't fulfill its role as well as some of the other ones because it's just not a very fast bullet. So you got to lead a lot. Martini Bayo. I'm going to put it below the regular Mosin because it does add a little bit more sway, but you get the poke melee for Mosin, right? Like you can melee rush people with it and it's got a pretty far range. So those are like pluses and downsides, but generally you want to be accurate with Mosin, and the most accurate is going to be the one without the bayonet. We got the Obrezes. These are secondaries, and I think they are one of the best secondaries in the game behind Dolch and not much else. Yeah, it's long ammo. It does take Quartermaster, same as Dolch P, but it's long ammo, has a high headshot kill range, double taps consistently, has far damage carry, wall bangs. You can put Spitzer on it to increase your chances with the Lebel Marksman and Mosin Snipe, which are some of the best weapons in the game. And I think it is the best secondary for shotguns. If you have Quartermaster, I can't think of anything else. So like if you're bringing Terminus or Crown and King or anything like that, I think this is a very strong secondary compared to Dolch P. Like, Dolch P is nice, and with FMJ, it became where Dolch P kind of edges out. But in that particular build, I definitely trust this over Dolch P to be a consistent 2-tap. And it also confuses people on what rifle you have. So if you have a Crown and King with slugs and you're shooting at people with the Mosin Obrez, they don't think you have a Crown and King and slugs. You might have a pocket shotty, you know, maybe a Caldwell Rival with slugs or something. But they think you have, because a majority of people are using these Mosins, so they think you have these Mosins. But if you have an Obrez, you don't have these Mosins, and they don't know you don't have these Mosins. So you shooting at them, they decide to push with their shotgun or something, and then boom, you whip out an Optimat, you whip out a Crown and King, you whip out a Nitro. Like, it's a very surprise factor weapon, plus it's just good. So I think it's the best secondary in the game outside of Dolch. And one of the main reasons being that it needs Quartermaster, but Dolch P needs Quartermaster as well. So like, take with that what you will. Dolch P is much better close range and covers a lot of the weaknesses that Mosin and whatever has. But then this is much better long range, in my opinion, and covers the weaknesses that like Nitro and Crown and Ovto can have. So it really depends on build. So I'm going to put these below the Dolch Ps because these are better in most builds. And by themselves, I'd probably go, if I only brought in a Dolch P and nothing else, or I only brought in a Mosin Obrez and nothing else, I think I would win more games with Dolch P. Let's go Mosin Snipe. It's going up. I'm going to put it behind Lebel Marksman because I feel like Lebel Marksman is a little bit better closer. So like it can still hit headshots pretty far away, and the scope is good enough for it, the Marksman scope. But if you're in a fight at like 45-ish meters, I think it's better to have a Marksman than a Sniper because the zoom isolates your vision a lot and makes it to where you can't see your peripherals as much. So in compound fights, where long compounds, I think Marksman is better than Sniper. But obviously, if you're shooting from, you know, the Lighthouse over to Fort Carmick on Lawson Station map, then Mosin Snipe is probably going to edge out the Lebel Marksman. But I think they're very close. Very good weapons. And when it comes to cost efficiency, kill efficiency, and kill death ratio and shit like that, these weapons are gonna dominate. They're absolutely gonna dominate. Then we got, is this Officer? No, this is regular. This is regular Nagant. It's got the fastest fan in the game, but it's kind of inconsistent on if it 2-taps or 3-taps. And then it's also, the fire rate isn't very good. So, and then if you put ammo on it, like high velocity or any of that kind of ammo, it makes the fan way less accurate. In fact, I've stopped, if I ever plan to fan this weapon, I've stopped putting high velocity on it because it's just so, like, RNG. It's so RNG. It makes the fan way worse. So I'm probably going to put it, like, down there. And these are main hand weapons, so I'm going to bring them up. I'll probably put it above those. Yeah, I might put that above. So these are main hands. Once again, I think these in a build are better than these. Personally, I like how much damage they do. They drop people consistently if you're bringing other weapons. But if you're just bringing a Martini or you're just bringing a Lamont, I think Lamont is probably stronger. But most of the time, people bring a secondary. So I think Ironside with a secondary is stronger than Lamont Carbine with a secondary. So take that for what you will. But yeah, I trust the wall penning nature, the high damage, the headshot range of Martini way more than the Carbine. Officer Pistol. This one best secondaries in the game for its price, how fast it shoots, how many shots it gets. I am going to put it probably somewhere in there, secondary wise. I don't know, it might even go up. This is the best, it's hard to put this because this is the best secondary for high damage rifles in my opinion. Like the Martini, like the Sparks, weapons that do an insane amount of damage and you just want to have some follow-up to do any kind of damage afterwards. For price effectiveness, like obviously Dolce is better overall, but it costs 6 times the amount or something. Not 6 times, like 3 times the amount or something of the Officer. So it's just so much more expensive. So this is like the cheap Dolce basically. In some cases I could see for certain builds the bow being better, I could see the pocket shotties being better, but in general, if you have a Mosin, if you have a Lebel, if you have a Sparks, any high damage rifle, a Berthier, this is really not a bad secondary. But these cover close range a lot better than this does. So it depends on how you're playing the build, all that kind of stuff. Like if you're playing range, this is better than this. If you're playing 5 meters away from someone, these are better than this. So why don't we put them around these ones? Yeah, we'll probably put it right behind these. Is this the regular Lamont? I probably want to put, if this is regular and these are dualies, let's put these below those. Dual Dolce. I'm just throwing it out there, guys. It depends on what we want to do with this Dolce Deadeye. I mean, they get 10 shots, they get all the benefits of Dolce, but there's really no reason why you should ever pick Dolce Deadeye over these two, unless you're just like memeing for dualies. So like, we moved these down because there's strictly better things above. I think we moved this down to down here because there's just strictly better Dolces in the higher tier, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's my logic for putting it down here, is that obviously this Dolce, dual Dolces is very good even as a Deadeye variant, but there's just better options for dualies. So I'm gonna move it down a tier because it's not as good as these ones, but it's still dual Dolces. So we could keep it right next to the other Dolces or move it down a tier, kind of like we did with these ones where they're just not as good as the other secondary options. They're just strictly worse variants. Carbine. So I'm gonna keep it there for now and we'll see. And then we got Lamont. All these are super interchangeable, man. So it feels weird putting Lamont higher than this. So I'm probably going to put them something like that maybe. With slugs, this probably goes up. Without slugs, it probably goes down for me. But I would say starting from here over to like here, it really depends on what build you're running and how much money you're wanting to spend. Because all these cover different things. It's not like the bow is strictly better than the officer, and it's not like the officer is strictly better than the bow, right? So most of these are pretty interchangeable, but I really don't like putting the Lamont above these because the fire rate of these is insane. It just puts on so much pressure. With the Lamont, the only way it can put on that much pressure is if you're FMJ fanning, and you got to be really close for that. The Carbine's really good, man. Yeah, I'm gonna put it top of B for right now. Carbine Deadeye. They get bleed ammo, they put on insane pressure, it's got an insane fire rate, very handy weapon. The only thing bringing it down, I think, in my opinion, is its muzzle velocity. Its base muzzle velocity is kind of low. If it had good muzzle velocity, it'd probably be an A tier. But outside of that, it's a very good weapon. Nagant P's, I'm probably gonna put them. They're not the worst thing ever, but they're also like, you can't fan them. They take Quartermaster, so I'm probably gonna. Well, all these take Quartermaster. You can't fan them, but they're really accurate. You can put high velocity on them, and they're super accurate. Like, it's the best thing it's got going for it is it's a pretty nice head clicker, but the fire rate is abysmal. You can't fan it, all that jazz. So we'll probably leave them in D for right now. Silent Nagant, the utility of this weapon is pretty strong, but its fire rate is slow. I don't like it more than most of these dualies. Its damage fall off is insane. So you can use it to move around the map for utility and then have something to shoot down range and fan. But a lot of these options are just way better. Looks like this is the Hammer. This is clearly the worst melee in the game, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure it still takes Quartermaster to run. It's still a medium slot, which these ones aren't. And it's super slow on the swing. It doesn't damage anything exceptionally well. Like, it's just, Yeah, the hammer needs some love. Oh, we were gonna put, this is secondaries, this is mains, and this is, I don't know, bro. Maybe the F tier is backwards because it's F. LaBelle Talon's the worst thing in the game, man. I can't put anything above it. I can't put anything above it. All right, Romero. Gonna go down in D, Romero Alamo. It's super clunky. I think I'd prefer the regular Alamo, regular over the Alamo, even with its like slight fire rate increase and stuff. The reload is abysmal on this thing, and learning when to shoot on it is annoying because you can't shoot exactly when you think you should be able to. So I'm gonna put it a little bit lower. It is, in my opinion, it's a single shot RNG cannon. So you shoot and you hope you kill. Sometimes you do, especially if they're relatively close, 5-6 meters. And then sometimes you don't, and that feels really bad because then you got to reload at 5-6 meters, and that'll get you killed a lot. So I'm not the biggest fan of this shotgun when it comes to how good it is, but this is one of my favorite shotguns. Like, personally, to run, it's really fun to try to get the one shot, line yourself up for the one shot. It can be surprising sometimes when it does get the one shot, and if you put Dragon's Breath on here, it lights people on fire from so freaking far away. It is insane. It's like a flamethrower. Absolutely phenomenal Dragon's Breath weapon. Really fun to run, and you can run 2 different ammo types on it, so it gives you a little bit of range. So really fun weapon, but overall its consistency just drops it down. These are pocket shotties. They're single shot pocket shotties though, so they're going on the side, and they're not as good as the Caldwell Rival pocket shotty in my opinion. So we're probably going to put it down in this tier because I think the pocket shotty Caldwell Rival's this one. So let's put it down here. And I'm looking at the other sides, the other sidearms here. We got armies, we got the uppercuts, duels, Bornheim match. Super depends on build, even amongst the C tiers here. Let's put it there. See how we like it there. The hatchet variant. These are relatively close in strength. Pick whichever one you like more. The hatchet can kill bosses and stuff a little bit more efficiently than this one, depending on what your build is. But this one is, in my opinion, a little bit more consistent, a little bit cheaper. So yeah, either or, don't matter. Romero Talon, that's going with the other Romeros. I do think having the Talon on it makes it a little bit better than the base Romero. I do think that. Because you only get the one shot, and then you have to reload. And sometimes getting the one shot and then just Hail Marrying it for the melee works out. Plus, it can kill bosses decently well. They buffed the melee variants not too long ago. So I don't think, it does add a little bit more sway or whatever you want to say, but I think it's negligible on a shotgun for the boon that you get, which is if you don't have enough time to reload, you still have a way to one-shot people. Or swap. Can't reload, can't swap, can still one-shot. Yeah, have we decided on this being the drill? Now that we're getting down to the last few here. I think this is the drill. I think we can finally get rid of it. I don't see an actual drill anywhere else. I do think the drill is pretty exceptional. How do I like it there? Yeah, let's leave it there for now. I think it's pretty good in what it does and what it's there for. I don't think it's worth the price of it. I think it's a little too expensive for only the 3 shots. But depending on build, it covers pretty much everything. Like, you can rock this with hand crossbow, and you just cover mid-range with the 2 rifle shots. You cover close range with the shotgun if you need to be really quick on your feet. And then you can AoE, you can keep downs, you can block entrances and all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can kind of do it all. And it does it all pretty exceptionally well. So the shotgun is pretty good on it. It's still RNG, but it's pretty good. The rifle on it is, muzzle velocity wise, pretty good. Damage, pretty good. All that kind of stuff. Like, everything about it's pretty good. I don't think it's on the level of Carbine. I don't think it's as good as Carbine, so we might move Carbine up. And then it could be the top of B, or we could move it up behind Carbine and A. We'll see. But it's really good. It's really good at what it does. You just get more opportunities with Carbines, especially in close range, to, like, let's say you're fighting 3 people, right? Which is an average team size in Hunt Showdown for anyone who doesn't know. Like, two-man teams, 3-man teams, that's something you run into quite a bit. I think you have a higher chance of wiping all 3 with this one compared to drill. Right? Especially depending on their builds, how they're pushing, all that kind of stuff. But I think in general, this gives you more opportunity. It's faster, all that kind of stuff. The reload's nice. Then we got the, looks like it's just a regular Scott field without dualies. The The fanning on it is pretty good. FMJ on it's not bad. The reload is pretty trash. Damage on it's pretty good. I'm trying to see exactly where I want to put it. Depending on build, I'd probably put it above these Bornheims. Depending on build. So let's keep it there for now and see. I don't think it's better than those duels. Dual uppercuts. Yeah, I think dual uppercuts might be better than it. It really depends on build. Like if you have quartermaster and all that kind of jazz. But it's just the muzzle velocity, damage, and pen, and how many shots and everything kind of outweighs. The brawler is strictly worse in pretty much every way than this. So I don't see any reason to ever bring it over this. So it's definitely going D tier, and it's probably like... We could probably put this in F tier and be okay with it, but let's put it in D tier for now. It's pretty bad. Like, the fan on it's worse than this. Yeah, just everything about it. Slow muzzle velocity. It's just something you bring in when you have no other option, or you just want to bring it in because you like a skin for it or something. Scottfield P, you can't fan it, which is going to bring it down, but I don't think it's as worse as that one, even though it needs quartermaster. It's pretty accurate when it comes to its sway, all that kind of jazz, but I don't think it's as good as the duels, so we'll probably put it down there. The Spitfire, phenomenal weapon. Very good. It's going to be up and around these. I don't think it's better than the upper mat. If you have fanning, I think Pax is better. If you don't have fanning, I think Spitfire is better. So yeah. I think we're gonna, and then if you have a main hand weapon like a Mosin, then I think Spitfire is probably better than upper. But if you don't have that, if you have like a Winfield, then I'd probably take an upper
Welcome home,
over Spitfire.
Welcome
so
home.
like it really depends
H1
on what you're
Enderhand
doing with it.
3S.
But yeah, Spitfire is phenomenal. It's a very good secondary. It's a secondary I use a lot when I just need something to back up my main weapon. Need more shots on the field. Its fire rate is pretty good. It consistently 2-taps at close range. The muzzle velocity on it leaves a lot to be wanted, but when you put FMJ on it, it doesn't lower its muzzle velocity too much, and it can pen a lot. Just a very consistent weapon. Can also put bleed on it now, which is pretty insane. Then we got Sparks. I think Sparks is really good. It is a very cheap weapon, and it does a lot of damage. But when compared to the Martini, it is a single shot rifle. It has a long reload. And when you compare it to the Martini, I think the Martini is probably better than it, depending on build, in close range. Like I'm talking 15 meters and lower. I think Martini is exceptionally well, and then I think Sparks starts getting better and better, and they kind of even out as the range goes up, and then as the range reaches a certain point, Sparks is just purely better, right? At maybe like 55, 60 meters, Sparks just better. So like it really depends, but you can put explosive ammo on the iron side, which does AoE damage. You can put fire ammo on both of these, which burns off enough health to where it'll be a one tap the next time. Like there's a lot you can do with these weapons. And so it's hard to put it higher than all the Martinis, because I think the Martini is better in some cases, but I think Sparks is better overall. But that iron side fires quick, man. So I don't know. I'm probably going to put it in like C tier. It has gone down a lot as getting bars back from events and different things has become very normal in playing Hunt Showdown. So you're not necessarily finding a ton of people that are down bars all over the map. It used to have more value because as the match went on, people lose bars more and more to random shit or other fights, and then you're just able to body tap and down them. The 149 damage is still exceptionally good though, because if they take fall damage or anything after getting shot by Sparks, they die. If they get shot by a choke bomb, if they get shot by anything after getting hit by the Sparks, they die. So that 149 damage is super strong, but it's a one shot, long reload, and I think there's so much spam in the game now when it comes to dualies and all kinds of stuff that I have trouble putting it higher than the Martini. Like, I could put it slightly higher than the Martini, most of the Martinis, but I don't think... Like, maybe I put the Ironside and the Sparks in B, like low B for mains, and then keep these ones at C. We'll see at the end, but it's pretty tough to put it higher than that. Silencer is going to go down here. It's a Sparks, but worse. It loses its damage. It has damage fall off faster. It has slower muzzle velocity, same reload. So it's just worse, but silent. Fun to play with though. One of my favorite silent weapons. Spark Sniper. Very good. We're going to put it in A. It's a long ammo rifle, headshots very far, and it's decent muzzle velocity, and it's got the snipe scope, so you can be very accurate with it. And that makes it go a little bit higher than Sparks, simply because Sparks, I feel you have to play a little bit closer than Spark Sniper. Why Spark Sniper, you can sit back. It might have the furthest headshot range in the game. I'm not positive, but Sparks one-shot headshots insanely far. 347 meters. So like you can sit back really far with that scope and just slam people, especially if they stop moving and they don't expect anything coming their way. So yeah, scopes are really good in this game in PvP, especially if you're wanting to not die. It increases your chance of not dying quite a bit. The closer you are to someone, the higher chance they have of hitting you, even if it's just RNG or anything like that. Like you take on more risk the closer you get to somebody. So being able to shoot someone at 300 meters and they don't even know you exist, that's a pretty big boon. That's a pretty big boon when it comes to PvP. Sparks pistol as a secondary. Very fun secondary to run with shotguns, buckshot shotguns, stuff like that. So it definitely has a spot because of its crazy high damage, decent muzzle velocity. I don't think it's better than like the drill and stuff because it's only one shot. So like the drill hand cannon. So I'm probably going to put it like around here-ish, but it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good as a secondary. I like it better as a secondary for shotguns than I do like dual dolches and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. Primarily for those builds. If you're bringing it, you can bring it for extra ammo for like a Mosin, or like you could bring it as a weapon to keep people down with like a Winfield and stuff. But I think uppercut kind of plays that role a little bit better. So yeah, not bad, not great. Really good in certain builds. Flechette builds, buckshot builds, all that kind of stuff. This is the Schofield Swift. Let's throw it up there. I don't know why I've been dodging it. Schofield Swift. Not a bad fan. Reloads quick. How do we feel about right there? What is this one? That's the regular? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I think it's better than the regular just because of the reload. You don't have to wait so long. But it doesn't come with that much ammo, so I don't think it deserves to be any higher. Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best. And C is already pretty big here, so we might take some of C and knock it down to D. And once we get all the weapons on here, see what's going on. Just because, like, some of these weapons I could see going into D, depending on what else is in C and B. Spectre! One of the best shotguns in the game. Very, very good. Is it better than Carbine, though? That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough, dude. It's better than Crossbow, better than Drill, depending on build, but yeah, it's somewhere around here. I don't know if it's better than Drill. Somewhere around here, though. Very good shotgun. One of the better ones. Very, very good shotgun. Definitely recommend trying it out if you like the shotgun. Spectre, they buffed. So normally I would put Spectre a tier below, a Spectre bayonet, a tier below the actual Spectre. But they buffed it this year, or I should say last year. And now it's just got a bayonet on it, and it's slightly wider cone of spread slightly, but overall it's pretty consistent. It's a lot more consistent than it used to be. It used to be just a strict downgrade, but also had a bayonet, so everyone went with the regular, and then they buffed it, and now it's more compatible. It's more comparable to the actual Spectre, so I'm going to put it up there with it. Last year I think I did put it a tier below, but yeah, it's something that changed this last year. All right, we got Compact Shotty. Compact Shotties, surprise shotguns are pretty good. It's a multi-shot. It can get slugs. I like it more than the hand cannons. Where's Caldwell Rival, though? So this shoots faster. It shoots 2 shots faster, but I think this gets 4 shots total. The reload on this is a lot cleaner than the reload on this. You need, whatever it's called, to reload cleanly on this. So I might put it, like, up there with it, like around there, but I think it's worse than that one. I think it's better than the drill hand cannon for taking up that slot. It's really hard to compare the drill hand cannon to this. If I was just bringing drill, or I was just bringing this, I think this is better. When you take into comparison for any kind of build out there, most of the builds out there, I think this is probably better. I think this is probably better. It just handles teams a lot better, and you're able to do a lot more up close. So like, let's say you have Mosin and Spectre backup. I think that is a much more complete build, and it secures your position in both close range and long range, while Mosin with drill makes you weaker up close. Like, it just makes you weaker up close. It doesn't increase your capabilities long range, because this is still what you're going to be wanting to use long range. But now you only have one shotgun and you got to reload, right? So I think as a secondary, this is better. But if you're just bringing in one or the other, then this is better, right? So it's kind of hard to compare those. Looks like we're into the Springfields. I've really been liking the Springfield, and I think it's going to get a decent jump this year compared to the other years, mainly because of high velocity on the marksman is insane. But the regular ones, I'm going to say before, hear me out, before, the only reason to bring a Springfield before last year over Sparks or Martini was because you wanted to, or you were dirt poor, because it's like the cheapest rifle, right? That was the only reason. But now, with high velocity, Springfield becomes faster than these two by a mile. By a mile. So it actually became the fastest single shot rifle last year with high velocity, which is, and it's not just like a little bit faster, it's hundreds of ms faster, which is really, really good in a game where you're trying to be very accurate. So yeah, that is a pretty big buff for the Springfield. Now, I want to say the Springfield Marksman gets the biggest buff out of it because it allows you to use the scope to its full effect because it's such a fast bullet. But without the scope, it loses a little bit of luster. So I'm probably going to put these ones maybe right behind Sparks and Martini, just because of pen, all that stuff naturally, like without high velocity, muzzle velocity, pen, like everything is just not overall better than these ones. All this shit is pretty trash, just as a heads up. I'm F tier in all of this. This is all the secondary Springfields. It's garbage. Let's see. So we got melees, secondaries. Yeah, they're all garbage, mainly because they, well, and I'm gonna structure it the way I said I would at the beginning. I think they're better than dual Sparks though, to be honest. But they have a shit ton of sway. For anyone who's ever played with these, they have a shit ton of sway, and it's only one shot. Like the Deadeye variant has some of the most sway out of any weapon in the game, which is crazy to me because it's also just one of the weakest, right? Like, it's one of the most limited. So for it to be punished for not only being one of the most limited, but then on top of it having some of the worst sway is like, I don't understand it. But yeah, it's really, really bad. You should only play these if you ever are wanting to play them. No other shape or form should you play these. Springfield Marksman, like I said, got a huge buff. With high velocity, I think it's better than these. And with high velocity, I like it in its role better than Carbine, but I would still say Carbine's better. I'd still say Drill's better. But that scope, that, like, Springfield scoped, you should not sleep on. Not only is it good, but if someone has it against you, don't treat it like it's, you know, how it used to be. Like, you're like, oh, you know, you got a LaBelle Marksman and someone's shooting at you with a Springfield, you're like, I fucking got this guy, and then boom, there goes your head. Like, it's insane how consistently good. It's one of the only weapons that can, not only price-wise, but still I compete with the best weapons in the game. Like, in particular, it is an off-meta sniper rifle that can compete with these guys. Not at the crazy ranges that you can with these guys. That's what I'm saying. These are strictly better. They shoot more, their damage carry is more, but in a lot of sniper fights, compound fights, like, you can compete with these guys very easily. Like, if someone's sitting just out of compound with a LaBelle Marksman, you know, trying to shoot at people in the compound, and you're in the compound, you're the guy that can take these guys down compared to, you know, a Spectre or something like that. So being able to not counter or hard counter, but at least compete with some of the best weapons in the game raises it quite high. Like, Sparks can compete inside of a compound, but Sparks, I would say, cannot compete with LaBelle Marksman or Mosin, like, 200 meters out. It just can't. It just can't. You can kill. Sparks can kill, you know, people that have Mosins and LaBelles at 200 meters. But if you put equal skilled players, you put a LaBelle Marksman in their hand, you put a Sparks in their hand, they will get more kills. They will beat the players of equal skill that have this weapon. And this isn't, these weapons have a hard time competing at those ranges. But Springfield, keep your eye out for Springfield. The only thing I think they should increase is its headshot capabilities. It only can headshot to 212 meters. I would love to see the Springfield Marksman be able to headshot to like 280, 290. That would be amazing. But that's like the only limiting factor for that thing. It's a monster. Very, very good ranged sniper. Let's see, we got Krags. Okay, what did we say earlier? If it's long ammo, multi-shot, it's gonna be good. It is good. I think it's below Berthier right now because Berthier can read downed players, but it has a faster fire rate, and it also has more shots before it has to reload, and it has a good reload. So I really like this weapon. In fact, I like it more than this weapon. If I was to take a weapon to win for me personally, and I'm like choosing between these two, I would choose this one because I don't play this one as much as I play this one. And this is my favorite long ammo rifle. Its muzzle velocity is good, everything's good, but statistically, this weapon's better. The average player, I think, will do better with this weapon when it comes to redowning, holding angles, all that kind of stuff. But man, the Krag is fire. The Krag is very good. Yeah, don't sleep on the Krag. It's a very good long ammo rifle. Just doesn't have the damage. If it did over 125 damage, it'd be above Berthy. It just don't. Krag's multi-ammo? No, multi-shot. Multi-shot. It's not a single shot like Sparks. Carabiner. It is the ultimate middle-of-the-road fair weapon in Hunt Showdown. This is, in my opinion, like the weapon that the other weapons are based on. Like this is average. This is basic weapon Hunt Showdown. And then all the other weapons are like, okay, let's make it a little bit better, a little bit worse, or blah, blah, blah. Like this is the middle line. And so it's exactly going to go there. I think it is a middle-of-the-road weapon, top of C, but not better than the other ones. It's the weapon you compare, in my opinion, you compare all the other weapons to, where it's like, how much damage does it do? What's its muzzle velocity? What's its fire rate? All that kind of stuff. It's also very comparable to the Mosin, which is obviously one of the best weapons in the game. And I like to call it the baby Mosin. It has the highest damage of the medium rifle things when it comes to the amount of shots that it's capable of. With high velocity, it's around that muzzle velocity. The damage is around the same. Like, I think I said that earlier. But yeah, it's basically a downgraded Mosin. And downgraded Mosin is not bad when Mosin is the best weapon in the game. One of the best weapons in the game. Not bad to be a baby Mosin in Hunt Showdown. The iron sights are a little bit worse, all that kind of jazz. And it can't headshot as far, it can't pen as well. But it is very middle of the road, it is very good. Let's go ahead and put... I'm probably going to put this behind the... That's Deadeye, that's Bayonet. Probably going to put them like this because it really doesn't have a ton of range, like headshot range. To where, but it has high velocity, so you can play it like a mid-range sniper, but it just doesn't have the range that like a lot of this has. Kind of the same thing with Springfield. So, and with the multi-shot capability, it feels like it works better in compound fights, like more up close than far away. You can obviously play it far away, but not that far away. So I think it has options both ways. That's why I think the scopes are good. I think these are good. But in general, I think in the range, the mid-range that it wants to be played in, these are your better options because there's no delay on the shot. The Cyclone. Cyclone's really good. Let's see. Krag, Sparks. Cyclone's really good. It's a cut above the rest when it comes to... I think it's better than Drill. Just its fire rate is absolutely insane. Those 4 shots come quick, real quick, and it's a lot of damage. But it's 4 shots. If it was a little bit more than that, maybe... it stays in A, but the 4 shots might knock it down. But it's good. I might move Carbine up. Let's move Carbine up and see how we feel about it. This has to go down here. Alright, Carabiner Silence. It is probably the best silent weapon in the game, which, I mean, that's not like a super high bar, but it's something that it can claim. So we're probably going to put it around there. It's got good irons where a lot of the silent weapons don't have good irons. It also has a ton of shots, which like the Silent Sparks doesn't have. It only has a 1 shot. And it does decent damage. It's a medium ammo rifle. So it's really not that bad. High velocity on it isn't that bad. Maybe we put it above the Lamont. It's just the Lamont has the extra capability of the shotgun and stuff. So I don't know. Somewhere around there, but it's the best silent weapon. Let's see. We got Terminus. Okay. Terminus is a tough one. By itself, worse than Spectre. With levering, probably second best shotgun in the game when it comes to consistency. So it's really hard to place. I'm going to place it with levering because most people play it with levering. And with levering, I think it goes up here because it's no Crown and King. It's no Crown and King, but with levering, it is phenomenal. And you can also lever the side version of it. And once again, it gets slugs and all kinds of stuff. I think it's exceptional. But without levering, it's below Spectre. With levering, it's probably above. It's probably above both of these. So it depends on what you want to do. For me, I'm going to put it with levering because that's how I majority of the time play it. But yeah, just know that it's a caveat weapon. Without levering, it's a lot worse than it is with it. With it, exceptional. Without it, it's like Spectre. Yeah, I'd probably put it in C tier without levering. With levering, it's A tier. Slate. So its fire rate is better than Spectre, but Spectre is more consistent. So it just depends. It's more like flavor. Do you want to fire a little bit faster, or do you want to one-shot a little bit more, right? Be a little bit more. And like I said, consistency matters in Hunt. So I would probably say overall Spectre is probably better because that chance of one-shotting going up is nice. That's why Romero and stuff is down here, is because one, it only shoots once and it's RNG. These ones shoot multiple times, but it's also RNG. So the fire rate, if let's say it's a Spectre versus Slate, the fire rate comes into play if the first shot does not one-shot, right? So if it's a Spectre versus a Slate and they both shoot at each other, but the Spectre does not get the kill, then the Slate has the advantage. But if they meet each other, the Spectre has the higher chance to one-shot the Slate. So when they shoot at each other at the same time at the beginning, the Slate will lose more often to the Spectre on that initial shot, right? So it's really hard to put it here because it's RNG, right? It's RNG on how accurate the person who's shooting the shotgun is. It's RNG on how much of the pellets hit. There's a lot of RNG that goes here. They're both relatively strong shotguns. We'll put this, honestly, I think the riposte is fine and would probably put it a little bit above, simply because you're already RNG shotting with this. Like I said, it's not the most consistent shotgun, but it's got a nice fire rate. But it gives you the added utility of killing mobs, killing bosses, and killing players, even if you haven't reloaded your gun after firing a bunch of shots. So it just gives you a ton of utility without much drawback. So I think, honestly, I think it's probably better than the main Slate. Winfields! This used to be the only weapon that you could really play with when you prestiged, but now they've changed that. Winfield is strong in a lot of different caveats. I have a hard time putting it above Martini and Sparks, but not above Springfield. So I think I'm going to put them right about here. The Swift is the best of the bunch, and the Musket Bayonet is interesting. It's very different, but it's not. Put it like there. And then the C is super, like, the control on the C is phenomenal. So I think a lot of people miss out on how good the C is just because the Swift is phenomenal. But like playing with the C variant feels better sometimes than the main Winfield that gets more shots to lever and all that jazz. Talon ain't too bad, but it fucks with your levering if you're going to lever with this gun, so I'll probably put it below. Marksman, the scope fucks with your levering, but it's a scope, so it's like, I think it gives you more utility than the Talon does. Silent, it can lever, and that's about the gist of it. It takes up a large slot, so I'm probably going to bring it down here, but it fires more than once, so above the Romero. These are the sides, the Vandals. These are the Winfield, pocket Winfields. They're not bad, especially with high velocity. You can lever them. They're not horrible. We have these though. It's a hard place to put, because if you have a shotgun, it's not a bad backup, but obviously there's better. The Mosin's right here, right? The Obrez. It's not on that level, and it takes up a quartermaster slot, so I think like the uppercuts and stuff beat it out. Even though it's got levering and all that, it's just these guns are more consistent. So it's probably going to come down here, but then it's competing with Dualies, and honestly, a lot of the Dualies are better than it. I would say pocket shotties are probably better than it, depending on build. You know what I'm saying? The pocket shotty goes with a rifle build, and these go with a shotty build. So it's just like downgraded versions of both. So maybe around that range. Let's put it like, see, I have a hard time putting it above Bornheim though, just because that fire rate's insane. The fact that it needs quartermaster, let's drop it down there. We'll put them down there for now, see how we feel. All right, we'll go to the other ones, but these are the Winfield Vandals. They're the quartermaster 2-slot, medium slot variants of the Winfield. And let's go with the Centennial. Centennial got a huge boost semi-recently it got high velocity, and it was already really fast. So I think it became one of the fastest guns in the game with high velocity outside of Spitzer rifles. I think it is. Like, it's really, really freaking fast, which makes it absolutely exceptional. And the sniper gets, how many shots is it, guys? Is it 10 shots before you have to reload? So I think it is one of the best snipers to play semi-close range because you get a lot of opportunities. Even if you miss with a shot, like you're quick scoping and it's inaccurate or something like that, you still get a lot of opportunities to continue to hit. It's kind of like the Winfield, but much higher muzzle velocity, much higher damage carry, much higher headshot range. So I think with the high velocity, the scoped variant in general probably goes up here. Is very good. Seni in general with high velocity probably goes up here. Without high velocity, I think it's a little bit more comparable to Carabiner without high velocity. With high velocity, it's a step above. Because like this goes from 400 to 600. This goes from 600 to like 790 or some shit. 800 muzzle velocity. We, if you've been in the community for a long time, generally we say 800 muzzle velocity and plus is kind of the muzzle velocity you need to hit for hit scan. Yeah, that's kind of that's Hunt Showdown's version of hit scan. It's not technically hit scan, and at longer ranges you still have to lead, but it's the hit scan range where if you're in a certain range, you don't lead at all, you just shoot and it'll hit. And so it's one of 4 weapons that can get into that range in the game, which is crazy strong. Having a accurate bullet is really strong in this game with how slow a lot of the weapons play and shoot. So once again, kind of hard to put. I think it goes C tier without high velocity. I think it stays in B tier with high velocity. You guys can do with that what you will when you're looking at this. Just know that I'm talking about the high velocity version in this. Because like some of the rifles, it's like, okay, you can go FMJ with Carabiner or high velocity depending on what you're wanting to do. I think high velocity is probably better in general for this weapon, right? So when I'm listing it at C over Martini or Ironside, I'm thinking about this at high velocity, right? Why Ironside gets like explosive, all that. I'm kind of listing the best version of the gun, generally speaking. So like this Spitzer or regular, Spitzer is generally the better. This is Shredder, right? So like I'm generally going off the best ammo available for the gun if you're wanting to win when it comes to this tier list. I'm not going off of just like base. 600 base versus 400 base, but this has higher damage and stuff. It's comparable. Like this is more reliable in compound fights, why this has a higher chance of headshot. But this is just reliable damage if you're not getting headshots. This is the Trauma. It is the Centennial that has a melee attachment to it. I think it just makes it worse because a little bit more sway, and the melee attachment is garbage. It's very slow, all that kind of stuff. But it's still a Centennial, still gets high velocity. The Centennial, honestly, I was super impressed with this weapon the past few times I've used it. In comparison, I know it's a little broke right now, and I don't know when it'll get fixed, but its ammo is a little fucked up to where it's getting more ammo than it should, I think. But it is a very fast, silent bullet with high velocity. And so I think it's on par with the Silent Carabiner, but takes a medium slot. It's a secondary weapon. And since it's the Silent Carabiner C, this has got to be, and Silent Nagant is C, I'm going to put it at B. It's the best silent secondary outside of like bow. I don't think it's better than the shotties. I don't think it's better than the crossbow. Better than those duels? No. Better than Spitfire? No. So it's probably low B. Yeah, I'm gonna put it low B. It's silent, so I might put it above conversion, but it can't fan. It can lever though. I don't know. I'll put it low B for right now because this is these are secondaries. And then I think this is the Centennial sawed-off. So it's the medium version of Seni. So we're going to put it... I'm just making sure, though. Where's the other Senis? Yeah, this is the medium one, it looks like. So it's going to go down here. It's not as good, in my opinion, because this has the added benefit of being silent. Why this one... it's got decent muzzle velocity. Like I said, all of the Centennials have decent muzzle velocity, but it loses some of its accuracy by having more sway and all that kind of jazz. And without it being silent, it doesn't have as much benefit as the other one. So I'm probably going to go down to C with this one. And I'm probably going to go around the Romero with this one. It doesn't have the ability to one-tap someone if they've been downed. Doesn't have any of that jazz. So I don't think it's as good as some of those others. It can't fire anywhere near as fast as some of these dualies. So yeah, we're going to put it down there. All right, we have put all the weapons on here. We're going to do a little restructuring, and then I'll talk about exactly where things are sitting and why. The restructuring I want to do, though, I think, is bring some of these C's down to D's. I just don't know where the cut should be for some of these sides. Where's the biggest jump of goodness? Probably here. So we're gonna start bringing all these down. All right, checking my melees, checking my goods, my mains. Chat. Type 1 in chat if you think the Avto is better than Crown and King. Type 2 in chat if you think the Crown and King is better than Avto currently in its current state. That's a tough one for me. They're close and they fulfill the same role, but I think Crown might edge out Avto. Like I'm pretty sure it does. It's just a matter of like Avto's pin is insane. The amount of ammo it gets is insane, and like if you're really good with it, I think Optimat is probably better than. But the chance to hit from far away has gone down so much. It just doesn't really have that range. I don't know. It's tough, man. That's a tough lineup. Tough verses. Let's look at some of this other stuff while we think it through. Yeah, I think those deserve to be in C. I think those deserve to be in D with where we're at. The split we made earlier. All right, let's look at our mains. Let's look at our mains all the way through. So those are our mains up to there. Those are our mains up to here. Let's check that line out. Is Berthy the top of this category? The only contesting I see for the Berthy is maybe Terminus Levering. That's the only one I see contesting for the top spot in A. I don't think it does just because of how limited it is compared to Berthy. So I think Berthy stays top, but Terminus Levering is so good, man. Carbine being lower than Cyclone, yeah. Spark Sniper being higher than Cyclone. What's the Krag's headshot range? 291. That covers most. Sparks 347, yeah. That's not enough. Krag covers most ranges. Not enough to bump it. I might put this above this, generally, because, like, it's so hard. Cyclone is much better. Much, much better in most ranges under 60 meters. Like 60 and below. It is exceptionally better. But then when it gets to like 70, 80, 90 meters, like Spark Sniper becomes better in my opinion. And then at like 180 meters, it blows it out of the water. Sniper is so much better than Cyclone. So, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But let's keep it there for now. Drill, top of B, Marksman, beating Sennies? Ooh, I don't know. I don't think it beats Senny. I don't think it beats a lot of these shotguns. I think it's fine to be around here, though. I think it's fine to be around here. Yeah, that seems better. And then we got these here, those. Is this the rival? Let's put it there. Okay, and then we got this, then we got our shoot guns, then we got our sparks, then our dually. Okay, so I think our mains are good. I think our 3-slot weapons are good. I'm liking where most of the 3-slot weapons are. I might, kind of tough. How do we want to do this though? Because I think putting Carabiner and Winfield in C is not necessarily doing them justice. Like, high velocity on both of those, they make exceptional rifles. So, like, Carabiner and Winfield's going up here and being... Because I do think in general, rifles are better than shotguns. They're just useful in more situations. They're still useful when you're at 5 meters. They're not the best, but they're still useful. But they're also useful at like 130 meters, which the shotgun clearly isn't. So like, I want to say Carabiner is better than Spectre in general. Like it's just, in an average fight, I would rather have Spectre, or rather have Carabiner than Spectre. In a building fight, I'd rather have Spectre than Carabiner. But they're extremely versatile. I don't know though. We'll keep them in C for now. I just want to let people know that are watching this in the future, like, pretty much everything C and up is extremely viable. You can kill most players with it, but you'll have more success with the weapons up top. D and below are like the weapons that, in my opinion, are a little underpowered in comparison to their counterparts and in comparison to the rest of the shit, where like most of these weapons on average will beat players with these weapons. So like if your loadout has a Romero and a dual silent Bornheims, I think someone who has like a Spectre and uppercut will beat that, right? In general, if the players are of same skill, all that kind of stuff. But I think a player that has like Carabiner and Katana could beat a player that has Mosin Dolch in the right circumstances. And that's what I mean by viable, is I think C, B, A, S are all viable. These are more viable than these. But then when you get to D and F, that's where the, like, these weapons really don't have that much of a spot anywhere. Like, you can use them if you want, but they're kind of underpowered. I would say my favorite weapons to use are generally going to be in the B and C category. And then I like taking down players that have S and A weapons, generally speaking. That's how I like to play the game. All right, let's look at our let's look at our melees, because that's nice and easy. Melee, A, yeah, B, C, D, E, F. Yep. Okay. Now let me look at my secondaries. Dolches in the S's, Obrezes in the A. I don't think anything should be elevated above those or to those levels. Officer's good, but Dolch Dualies are good. Pocket Shotties are good. Hand Crossbow's good. Upper Mat's good. Sparks Pistol. Sparks Pistol's good, but I might want to bring it down. It's a little less viable. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring Sparks Pistol down. We could put it at like somewhere in there. The main thing holding Sparks Pistol back is it's a single shot. It's the main thing holding it back, but it's really good in shotgun builds. And as you can see, there's a lot of good shotguns. But like, I was just looking at some of the counterparts, like Uppercut and stuff. And I think Uppercut's a class above Sparks Pistol, generally speaking. Same thing with Spitfire, Pax, Officer. I consider all these pistols better than Sparks Pistol, like by a decent margin. It's just Sparks Pistol's really good backup for buckshot shotties, flechette shotties, and also as a ammo carrier for some of the top weapons. So like it has a spot, just it's not by itself, it's not exceptional. And then yeah, most of these other weapons are just kind of middled in between, where like in the C's, if you decided to pick a Bornheim match because you're looking for your chance to win, and you decided to go with a Bornheim match over New Army Dualies, I wouldn't necessarily fault you. Like, they kind of do a very similar role. This one fires really rapidly, not as accurately. This one fires slightly less bullets, but more accurately. You know what I'm saying? So, like, saying which one is better comes down to how good your RNG is, what's the situation, all that kind of stuff. More times than not, I would probably take the amount of shots you get with dualies, especially FMJ dualies on that, over the match, because you can do more with it, you know, going through walls, clearing angles, all that kind of stuff. So, like, I don't know, man. A lot of those are really tough calls. But I think we're looking pretty good. This is how we're lining it up. Okay, so everyone's on the same page. This is how we're lining it up. We're going main hand weapons first, then secondaries, then melees is how it's lined up. I'm not saying the melee, like this bomb lance, is better than the drill. I'm saying the bomb lance is better than the Cav Saber. Do you see what I'm saying? Beautiful. All right, I think that's my 2024 tier list. For anyone who doesn't know, Emerald Door made this tier list. So if you have any complaints about the tier list, definitely send them to me, because he went out of his way to make this tier list, and I really appreciate it.